Welcome back to Island Decree,
Yes, welcome.
where today we are the worst.
We are?
I mean, generally.
I mean, I'd like to think that I'm not the worst.
Is there a time when you were the best?
I mean, I want to be the very best. Like no one ever was.
To draft them is my real test.
To trade them is my cause.
So yes, we are doing magics today.
We are doing magics! Yay!
And then we're going to test something after this, possibly tomorrow. Where we're going to try playing Magic over Skype later and see how that works.
Yeah,
We're not going to record it because that'd be dumb.
that would be dumb, and that would be difficult for you.
A solely audio podcast of people playing Magic.
That would kind of suck. I don't think I would listen to that.
I'd stop listening to you halfway through.
You're just
while
like,
we're recording.
yeah, I'm done.
So yes, today we are going to get into some news in the Magisphere.
This is
We're
true.
going to talk about what we're doing later on in the Magi year.
In the magic year.
But first, we're going to open a pack.
Yeah, we are going to open a pack.
And what pack is that, Nick?
So, I fucked up and didn't buy a pack of Oath while I was at the card store in the past few days. And then we were like, oh, it's time to record. And I was like, ha, whoops, don't have a pack. But luckily, I play MTGO, or MitGo, and so I just bought a pack on there. So, I'll imitate the crinkle for you as I click F, open the pack. Cool.
Enjoy that in your headphones.
Yeah, I'm sure they will.
I'll add like an amplify effect.
Okay. Alright. Our first card is a Plains.
That is very good if you want to cast white spells.
This is true. Second card is Unknown Shores. For those of you who don't know what it is a land that does not come into play tapped. You can tap it to add a colorless to your mana pool, and then you can also pump one generic and tap it for 1 mana of color. This is actually really good fixing that I'm really glad that they reprinted. Second card, Zulaport Chainmage.
Yeah, actually though.
Yeah.
This is just Shimmer and Grotto.
Yeah, it's very good.
Yeah, awesome.
Zulaport Chainmage is a 4/2 for 3 generic and a black. It has Cohort, which means that you tap that and another untapped ally you control, and target opponent loses 2 life.
I'm not up unlimited, but I would assume the ally deck is a real thing.
Oh yeah, it's actually called Rallies, because a lot of them have the ability Rally.
Yeah.
It's very good. A lot of cohort things happen on your opponent's turn. Like at the end of your turn, you're like, okay, I tap like all these things, and then they untap on my turn.
I'm gonna make an ally commander deck, I think.
A lot of cards from this set will be in it.
Yeah, because I'm looking at the allies and I'm like, God, this subtype is back.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Next card. One of my favorites that I talked about last week. Sky Scourer.
Ooh.
Which is a 1/2 for a generic and a black with Devoid Flying, and whenever you cast a colorless spell, it gets colorless fire breathing, which is +1/+0.
That seems fine.
Yeah. Next card, Mackendy.
Oh, notably not fire breathing, because you can pump fire breathing.
Oh, this is true.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry. Mackendy Aeronaut is our next card. It's a 1/3 flyer for 1 generic and a white, and that's it. But notably, it is an ally.
I mean... Yeah, how do you spell this?
Makindi Aeronaut.
Okay, so yeah, it's a
It's meh.
yeah, it's I would look elsewhere.
Yeah, definitely not in your first few picks. Next card, Gravity Negator. It's a 2/3 for 3 generic and a blue with Devoid and Flying, and whenever it attacks, you may pay 1 colorless. If you do, another target creature gains Flying until end of turn. This is actually a really good card.
Yeah. I could see this in limited being...
Stupidly good.
Yeah. It's a 4-drop and 2/3 4-drop, but evasion, and it gives your things evasion.
Yeah, it's very good.
Like, in Commander, better options, obviously, but, like, outside of that...
Yeah, in limited, it's used quite a bit in any deck that runs blue.
That seems insane.
Next card, Elemental Uprising. It's an instant for 1 and a green. Target land you control becomes a 4/4 elemental creature with haste until end of turn. It is still a land, and it must be blocked this turn if Fable.
Haste and green.
It is a 4/4 elemental creature until end of turn, so if it didn't have haste, it's useless. But at the same time...
It's like it's a 4/4 elemental until end of turn. Actually, with rules, though,
Yeah.
as long as you've controlled it, this is me being a judge.
Yeah.
As long as you've controlled it since the since your last turn,
Yeah.
it could still attack.
As a land?
Yeah, because the way becoming creature works, summoning sickness still affects like artifacts and lands and enchantments. But they can still tap, as long as they aren't creatures. If they become creatures, then summoning sickness would affect them normally.
Okay.
So if something has been a land like since turn 1, and it becomes a creature, it will not be summoning sick.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, this card is okay. It's like ish removal. Ish. I'm gonna kill my land.
Yeah.
It's basically like sending one of your lands into a slaughter drone. Wah wah.
It's a 4/4 on turn 2. I mean, that could get something out of the way.
This is true. Like, early on use, it's probably okay. Other than that, nah.
I mean, that's like bash you in the face for 4 if you aren't set up yet.
This is true. Cinder Helion is our next card. It is a 4/4 for 4 generic and a red with trample, and when it enters the battlefield, it deals 2 damage to target opponent.
So it's a 4/4 for 4 and then shock?
Yeah, and trample. No, it's a 4/4 for 5.
No, I'm saying it's a 4/4 for 4 and then shock.
Yeah,
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah.
Yeah,
In limited, this seems slow.
it really is. Although, at the same time, it can get in there and do, like, a little bit of damage. Like, shocks are never bad, but
Yeah.
a shock for 5 that also gives you a 4/4 trample, not the best option.
Why couldn't that say creature or player?
Yeah, it's only target opponent.
Oh,
Next card.
never mind, I resend that.
One of my cards in the set, Ancient Crab. It is a 1/5 for 1 and 2 green. 2 blue, I'm sorry. And that's it. It's a crab.
It has flavor text.
Okay, it doesn't show me flavor text on here.
But I mean, yeah, it's a 1/5 for 3.
Yeah, ooh.
That's some spicy meta right there.
Some spicy crab. Alright, next one. AFA Protector. That's AFFA Protector.
I wish it was Afro Protector.
I know, right? It's a 1/4 for 2 generic and a white. It is a human soldier ally with vigilance.
It's an ally. It probably goes in the ally deck.
Yeah.
It's not awful.
Yeah, it's not awful. I see this used a lot with support.
Yeah.
We'll support it and then attacking with like a large creature with vigilance, which is always decent.
Like, if I'm not playing allies, obviously I don't put this in.
Yeah.
But like, I play a few tribal decks in Commander.
Uh-huh.
One of them is a Tree Folk deck,
Yeah.
and that has some cards that are pretty garbage on their own.
Yeah.
But because of the Tree Folk boost, they just become great.
Yeah, that makes sense. One card I'm actually really excited I pulled.
Is it Kozilek?
No. It's an uncommon weapons trainer. It's a 3/2 for a red and a white. Other creatures you control get +1/+0 as long as you control an equipment.
Oh, neat. I like this.
This card is ridiculously good in the red-white ally equipment deck, which runs Captain's Claws and Bonesaw.
First pick Bonesaw every time.
First pick Bonesaw every time. Basically, the play is turn 1, drop Bonesaw. Turn 2, drop Weapons Trainer. Turn 3, equip that. All your creatures get +1/+0 off of Weapons Trainer, and Weapons Trainer is now 4/2. And then equip Captain's Claws to something, so anytime that you attack with that, you also get a 2/1 that's attacking. That sticks around. It's actually a very strong deck in meta right now.
Gosh, this thing is insane.
Yeah, it's so good. We got a foil Wall of Resurgence, which is a 0/6 wall for 2 generic and a white with Defender. When it enters the battlefield, you may put 3 +1/+1 counters on a target land you control.
If you do, it becomes a 0/0 elemental creature with haste.
Yes.
It's just to clarify.
Yes, this is true. So basically, you get you get a 0/6 defender and a 3/3 attacker for 3.
The thing I'm worried about, and this is probably just the commander player in me,
Yeah.
super wary about making lands creatures.
Yeah.
That has burned you.
I think it's almost burned everyone.
Yeah, it's burned. It's gotten me. Yeah, it'll get us all eventually.
Yeah. Null Caller is our next card. It is a 2/4 for 3 generic and a black. It is a vampire shaman. Vampires are kind of a thing in this, but not as much as allies.
I'm liking it.
It has the ability for 3 and a black, exile a creature card from your graveyard, and put a 2/2 black zombie creature token onto the battlefield tapped.
Seems okay.
Yeah, it's okay. I currently have a white-black vampire deck in Standard right now, and this is not in it. If it was like a zombie ally, this would be in it so fast, I can't even describe it. But if it's just a 2/2 zombie, and this is the null color itself, it's not an ally, so it doesn't really make the cut.
Is that uncommon?
Yes, it is an uncommon. Another one of our cards, the next one, is Bonds of Mortality, which is a enchantment for 1 generic and a green. When it enters the battlefield, draw a card. And then for a green, creatures your opponent control lose hexproof and indestructible until end of turn.
How relevant are those keywords in that set?
They're not the most relevant, but they're not the least relevant. Because a lot of the bigger Eldrazi's, especially like Ulamog, have this indestructible ability, and without Bonds of Mortality or something that will get through indestructible, there's nothing you can do about it. So there are cards that this actually is very good against. Plus, I mean, if nothing else, it's a draw spell for 2 in green, which is not bad.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's okay. I've seen it used a few times, but never oh my gosh.
It's underwhelmed. Well,
yeah. And our rare is Vile Redeemer. It's a 3/3 for 2 generic and a green with Devoid and Flash. When you cast Vile Redeemer, you may pay one colorless. If you do, put a 1/1 colorless Eldrazi Scion creature token onto the battlefield for each non-creature token that died under your control this turn. These tokens have sacrificed this creature, add 1 colorless to your mana pool.
huh.
This card is actually weirdly good, because your opponent swings in with a bunch of stuff. You block with everything. You kill off 5 creatures of your own, the flash Vile Redeemer at the end of your turn, suddenly you have a 3/3 plus 5 1/1s that all like will sack for mana. Plus you probably already have like a few mana down, and if you have anything in your hand that's like big enough to come back and win the game, suddenly you can play it.
Yeah, that's really interesting.
Yeah. I actually have a few of them on paper, and I think they are going to go into my black, green, blue standard deck.
Huh. So what are you first picking?
Probably Weapons Trainer.
Yeah, I think that's the Windmill Slam first pick.
Yeah, Weapons Trainer. It's good. I mean, even a 3/2 for 2 is good.
How many equipments are in this block?
Like 3. But I guarantee you'll be past at least 2 Bone Saws.
Yeah. Always pick Bonesaw.
Yeah. It's usually like one of the last cards anyone ever picks anytime I've drafted. Second pick, maybe Vile Redeemer.
Yeah.
Maybe the Gravity Negator. That's pretty much it.
I gotta say, looking over this set, I appreciate some of the names after some of the hard names you had to pronounce.
Yeah, like Saddleback Lagak.
Saddleback Lagak.
Saddleback Lagak.
As opposed to something like Witherwheel Eluis, which is super hard to say.
Or Garapir Gearcrafters.
Yeah, Garapir Gearcrafter and Witherwheel Eluis.
I always feel bad because, like, when I play Thopters, I'll be like, I play the Gearcrafter, and everyone knows what I'm talking about.
Yeah. It's like, I play Double G.
Yeah, there's, like, just stumble through it, or I just am like, I play Crafter, and they're like, okay.
If I was your opponent, I'd be like, I'm sorry, you play what?
It's such a dick move.
Like, no, can you say the full name of the card?
It's
And then, like, so yeah, like, Saddleback Lagak and Thought Not Seer.
Yeah.
And I just appreciate the name Breaker of Armies.
Yeah.
Because he's also the Breaker of Leggies.
Yeah.
So, alright, we have some Magic's news.
We do have some Magic's news.
Vintage Masters what?
What?
God. I am excited, being the blue player that I am.
Yeah.
Because they spoiled 2 cards.
They did.
And that was, what is the land they spoiled again?
Let me look it up. Because I don't remember.
The Magic of Guts.
Wow. Vintage. Spoilers. Boom. MTG visual spoiler. They.
I'm sorry. We're cutting this entire thing because we've made a mistake.
Oh, they have.
No. I said the wrong thing.
Huh.
It is not Vintage Masters. It is what's the other thing?
Modern Masters?
No.
Eternal.
Yeah, the other Eternal format.
I don't remember.
This is all going to be cut, by the way.
That's fine. New MTG Eternal set. Eternal Masters.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So, in other news, Eternal Masters is now a Magic thing.
Woo!
The box will be ridiculous.
Oh yeah, no, I don't think you want to pay for that.
The MSRP is like Modern Masters as 10.
Yeah,
but I think they're gonna sell it above that.
I think so. Hopefully they don't.
Yeah. So they've spoiled 2 cards for it.
Oh my god.
The first one I'm skipping because I want to talk about it. But
Yeah.
the second one is Wasteland,
Wasteland.
which you tap it for colorless.
Yeah.
Or you tap it and sacrifice it to destroy target non-basic land.
Yeah.
And I am fine with that.
Yeah. Like, that land seems to be doing quite a lot of work for you.
It's like...
See ya.
It's just like a functional print of, the big one.
Mirror Pool?
No, the, why can't I remember the name? It's super real natural in, like, actual Magic.
I don't remember.
Yeah, it's one of the earliest to mistake.
Yeah. And Phil, what is the other card that they spoiled?
Oh, Force of Will. God, I love Force of Will.
It is the most stupid counterspell.
So, if you're unfamiliar with Force of Will, it's blue, and 3 generic to counter target spell. I mean, it's not that good. Wait. You may pay 1 life and exile a blue card from your hand rather than play Force of Will's mana cost.
So this is a turn 0 counterspell.
Mm-hmm.
This is stupid.
With literally no drawback like Mental Misstep.
Yeah, none. Absolutely none. It's just straight up countered.
And I love that it's Therese Nielsen art.
Yeah. No, it's
That's
so...
the only way they could have gotten away with redoing Force of Will's art.
I think you're correct.
God, it's so pretty.
It's so cool looking. I love it.
If you want us to draft this, go support our Patreon.
And then be like, here's like $10 and do this. And we'll be like, cool, thanks. Now if only like 100 other people give us $10.
We'll get there. Or we'll just start forming an elaborate place to, form a bank heist.
Yeah. Shh, don't tell anyone. I like that Force of Will is printed mythic, though.
I don't.
I mean,
printed as common.
As somebody who doesn't like playing against blue people, I'm racist against blue people. I'm not happy that it's reprinted, but I am happy that it's mythic.
God, Force of Will is so good. If you can't tell, I don't think we've gone over our playstyles yet.
Yeah,
they should be obvious. Nick, what is your playstyle?
My playstyle, I started out mono red burn, like most people do. Then I branched out to red green aggro ramp and stayed there for about the majority of my Magic career. Now I usually play Jund, or I play oh my gosh, I'm spacing on the name.
Just say the colors and I got you.
Black blue.
Dimir.
Dimir, yeah. I usually play those. I usually really like playing red because it's kind of like what I started with, and it's what I know best. Of just like I'm gonna hit you with a bunch of damage and punch you in the face, and then green is like I'm gonna get big monsters and then I'm gonna punch you in the face. But then I play blue and I'm like, oh, I guess I gotta think about punching you in the face. And then black is just like, ha 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 ha, I'm gonna punch you in the face and then come back from the dead and punch you in the face.
I'm gonna punch you in the face from behind.
From behind. So, I mean, personally, Jund is like one of my favorite to play. I like that ramp, I like that aggro of just getting in and just getting a lot of damage. And then like finishing off with burn spells. That's always like my favorite thing to do. I really like decks that synergize well and have like fun combos. Like I've said in previous, I'm not really somebody who like plays competitively to win. I'm somebody who like plays because I enjoy the decks that I play.
I play competitively to lose.
I mean, like I go to tournaments and stuff all the time, but I don't like. I guess my goal isn't necessarily to win. Like, my goal is just to...
play some Magic.
Play some Magic. Like, that's why I enjoy, like, the cheaper, like, Friday Night Magic and the, like, pre-releases and that kind of stuff, where it's, like, $10-$20 and you go and you get to play, like, all night and you get a bunch of cards and stuff like that.
That being said, we'll probably fine-tune our decks for the GP.
This is true, yeah, definitely. I'll be spending some more money on my current standard deck, getting some more Draunas in there, getting some more... life gain.
I'll just be building a standard deck.
Yeah, it's true.
Um,
See, building like a base one is probably only like $20.
I'm curious how you'd do if you just bought a starter. If you just bought a starter deck and took it in.
That'd be interesting. I actually just bought my girlfriend one of those starter decks because she
Oh,
wants to get into it.
ooh.
So got her the black green starter deck. And we went through it. We talked about it just a little bit. I talked about some like keyword abilities and stuff like that. She's tried to play once before and then just like got too busy. But we're trying to get her into it again.
Get her interested and then get her on the podcast.
Yeah, definitely.
Maybe she'll draft with us.
That would be fun, actually.
Um, but yeah, so Nick is kind of Jundy.
Yeah, I'm pretty Jundy. Occasionally, I like to play Demir. I pretty much like the one color that I don't usually play. Like 90% of the time, try and stay away from is white because I just don't really understand how it works. My current standard deck is black-white, and that's because all the white cards in it function like black cards.
See, my motto for you, Nick, is you don't need to worry about how white works. It just, yeah, you're done.
It's just like, oh no.
I have this white deck that I've affectionately referred to as the submission hold
Yeah,
because it effectively puts the game in a submission hold.
it's so frustrating.
Um, so I am that dirty kind of control player.
Ew.
I started out my Magic career playing white-black life gain, as you do if you don't start with red.
Yeah, this is true.
All new players either play red or white-black life gain as a general rule.
Yeah, generally.
Um,
It's like a mono color that they just don't. So like they kind of understand how the color works.
60 card life gain is generally bad.
Yes.
In Commander, it's sustainable. Or my rule for a life gain card is it has to fit one of two criteria. Either it gains you a ridiculous amount of life,
Yeah.
or it does something else.
That makes sense. Yeah.
So, like, a Johnny Mentor of Heroes
This is true.
gains you 100 life. He doesn't need to do anything else, although he has other abilities.
This is true.
There's a card that lets you double your life total.
Yeah. It's just stupid.
There's Celestial Mantle, which gives your creature +3/+3 and lets you double your life total every time it does damage.
Yeah, and that's wonderful and bonkers.
But there are cards like Angel's Mercy,
Yeah.
and I just no.
Yeah.
Like Hunter's Feast is kind of funny because any number of target players gain 6 life.
Yeah. That's entertaining because you're like, I guess you can have 6 life too.
But like yeah, and like Chalice of Life, Chalice of Death is another favorite of mine.
Chalice of Life is so good. I think that might be one of my favorite printed from Innistrad block, to be honest.
Yeah, it's in my life gain deck and it's real good because I really easily get to 50 life.
Yeah.
So yeah, I tried getting into like so the way we started playing was kitchen table.
Yeah.
Like we did not play by any sort of normal rules.
Pretty much.
Like obviously 4 of each card, 60 card decks.
Yeah.
But we kind of just dirtled about for a few years.
Yeah, basically, we just kind of, like, figured out how the game worked. Kind of, like, found out, like, cards that were fun to play together. Like, figured out our own, like, play styles.
Yeah, Nick sent me his first ever standard deck. I'm like, why are half these cards from Zendikar? It was during Innistrad block.
Yeah, I didn't understand how standard worked at the time. And then I finally, like, figured it out. And it was like, oh, this makes sense. Everyone's kind of on an equal playing field. Oh, wait, no, they're not.
Because some people have money.
Because some people have a lot of money.
But then, Nick started getting more into standard, and I got really into Commander.
Yeah.
But my Commander decks, a lot of Commander decks are built for fun and enjoyment. Mine are literally just Highlander decks with a legendary creature on top.
And it's stupid.
So I have 10 decks, and all of them are awful.
They're all fun to play, though.
Yeah.
I will give you that. Like, while all of them are like, I don't want to play against them. Like, at least when you go into like a 4-way commander game, like using one of Phil's decks, like I have something that's one reliable and like very good to play, is gonna hold up against all the other decks like decently enough, and like gives me an equal chance to win. Like as long as I pilot it well.
Yeah. I have 10 decks, mainly because no one else has had commander decks for a very long time.
Yeah.
So I would just loan them to people in the play group. And there's enough for every style. I'm generally a control player,
Yeah.
but I understand enough how red and green work that I can build effective decks, and I also really like tribal decks.
Yeah, this is true. I think both of your red and green decks are tribal.
Yeah, so my decks, just real quick, I have a green-black Nath of the Gilt-Leaf elf deck.
Yeah.
It's mostly green, and elves get insane in tribal.
Yeah, they're very good.
Like, one of my friends is playing the deck, and I have a card in there called... I forget what it's actually called, but it's one of the You Win cards.
Yeah.
It's, you win if you have 20 or more creatures in the battlefield.
Yeah.
And he's like, okay, elf tokens all
Go.
over here. They're
Yeah.
they're 9/9s, by the way. Kill
There's-
them, or I win.
Basically, yeah.
Yeah, that deck is insane.
It's very good.
But equally insane, on the level it can challenge it, is mono red goblin, or red black goblins, actually.
Yeah. Yeah.
With Wart Boggart Auntie as the commander. That thing does so much damage. I closed the game with 542 damage in the final turn.
That's so ridiculous.
And because of the commander's ability, I can keep getting the tribal sorcery goblin shock back to my hand. It's insane.
It's very good.
And then I have mono blue Thassa God of the Sea control,
Yeah.
and it has omniscience in it.
Always a good control card.
So that blue deck just goes insane.
Yeah.
Like, I had a friend describe it once as, hey, watch me play Magic.
It's so true.
God. Sometimes I've gotten omniscience. I've gotten that for really cheap. One time I ulted Jace to get it, because that's what Jace does. And another time,
Jace play Omniscience.
someone was playing my black deck,
Yeah.
and he played Demonic Tutor.
Yeah.
And I played this card from Conspiracy,
Yeah.
which is Will of the Council, one of the Will of the Council cards.
Yeah.
And it's pick Denial or Duplication.
I love Will of the Council cards, just so everyone knows.
In Commander, they're awesome.
I think they're my favorite.
So I play this card, and I'm like, okay, Denial or Duplication. If Duplication wins, I get it, because it's a 5-person pod. Like, if Duplication wins, I copy it. If Denial wins, it's countered.
Yeah.
And then I say Duplication.
Obviously.
The player to my left is playing Teamer Ramp. He's like,
Yeah.
I want no part of that. Denial.
Yeah.
The next person is playing Goblins, and he's like, I also want no part of that. Denial. The black player who played the spell is like, Duplication.
Obviously.
And we have our friend who isn't the best Magic player.
Yeah.
And then the other two players are like, okay, say Denial. Say Denial. And the black player's like, hey, say Duplication. And he does.
He just, duplication.
So yeah,
no.
I got to search for Omniscience. And that was a weird game. But yeah, that blue deck is just, it goes insane.
It's very good.
My next deck is one that I don't like to play because it's not fun for anyone. Like, Control can get really unfun, but this deck is legitimately just like, I call it Mr. Celia Girl.
Yeah.
It's Olivia Valderin, Red-Black Vampires.
I actually really like that deck, though.
Because all it does is steal your creatures.
It's so good.
But God, it's... Ugh.
It's frustrating to play against, that's for sure.
No, like, when I try to play again, it's to give me a conniption fit, so I'm like, I don't want anyone to go through this.
Mm-hmm.
Then I have Mono Black Shieldred.
Which is lovely.
It's it's the black deck. It does what
Yeah.
black decks do. It kills things.
And then brings them back.
Then I have Grixis Thraximunder,
Yay, Thraxi.
which is just dumb.
Yeah.
It's got a bunch of things dealing with graveyards.
Mm-hmm.
Like Wood of Precinct 6, which is crazy. Consuming Aberration.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Do you have Undergrowth Scavenger in that deck?
it's going in that deck.
Okay, good. I have one if you
Oh,
don't.
wait,
If
that is... What are the colors on that again?
it's green.
I can't. Grixis.
Oh, I was thinking Thraxi was
Yeah.
part green.
Blue, red, black.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Because that one, it gets +1/+1 for every creature card in your graveyard.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah.
But yeah, that deck just, like... It's got a bunch of kill spells, some draw spells. It's got Zombie Master,
Yeah.
which is fine, because Thraximunder's a zombie.
Yeah, yeah.
So you can regenerate him for black. But it also has Xenograft. Oh boy. I'm sorry about that. Skype had a bit of an issue.
Yeah, wow.
So yeah, this deck has Zombie Master and Xenograft,
Yeah, yeah.
which makes everything zombies.
Everything zombies.
And it's got things like Army of the Damned, which gives you 13 zombie tokens,
Which is always fun to have.
and it has Flashback.
You know. Because in case you need 26 zombie tokens.
Yeah, so it's pretty great. And then I have White, Green, Black Life Gain,
Yeah.
which I've gotten to 196 life. It's got things like a Johnny Mentor of Heroes, Felidar Sovereign, Chalice of Life, Chalice of Death, the M10 cycle of gain life when these spells are played, a bunch of lifelink things, a bunch of when they enter the battlefield, gain life.
Yeah.
Also a bunch
It's like
of...
the card you play is gaining life.
Yeah, it's either gaining life, helping me gain life, or making sure I win if I have enough life.
Yeah.
It's got Celestial Convergence and Felidar Sovereign to make sure I win. And yeah, it's the dumbest thing. It also has Sarah Avatar, which is its power toughness are equal to my life total.
Yep.
So it's like 196 swinging at you.
Swinging at you with flying.
And I have a Temur Ramp deck,
Yep.
which has very few lands in it. But it's effective, because half the cards in there give you mana.
Yeah.
It has so few lands in it, I once played Kodama's Reach and had one valid target. I'm like, oh, this is
That's-
embarrassing.
That's so awkward.
But I also have 20 mana sources in play.
That's ridiculous.
And then I have a red-white aggro deck,
Uh-huh.
which just, my god. It's burn, basically. I'm sorry, my Temur commander is Surak Dragonclaw.
Yeah, Sorak.
And
Bear.
honestly, my life gain commander is Dagatar, but it's irrelevant because it's just for his colors.
Yeah, pretty much.
But yeah, this is Gisela Blade of Gold Knight, the red-white deck.
Yep.
She doubles damage. All your
Yeah.
opponents take. She halves the damage all you take.
Yep.
It also has Furnace of Wrath and Dictate of the Twin Gods,
Yep.
which means a lightning bolt can do 24 damage to your opponent.
Which, you know, is always fun for one fucking red mana.
And it has like Brimstone Mage, which ends up tapping for 24 damage. And the fun fact about Lightning Bolt, because of how damage prevention works, it does 4 to me if someone plays it on me with those things out.
Huh.
And then like Pariah and stuff eat all.
Yeah.
And then I have my prized possession, which is my mono white Death and Taxes. It's not fun. Not
It
at
is
all.
not. I hate it.
The commander is Elshnorn.
Every time someone plays that mono white deck, I just die inside.
It's got things like Path to Exile and Swords to Plowshares.
Yup.
Admonition Angel,
Oh.
which has landfall that O-rings.
Yep.
O-ring. It's got 8 pacifism effects and 6 wraths.
Love it.
It's also got a couple of cards like Rule of Law, which say that only one spell can be played each turn by each player. And then Hikori Dust Drinker, which says that players don't untap their land during their untap step, and they may untap one land during their upkeep.
So you get 1 mana a turn, which you can save, and you can play 1 spell a turn.
I was playing a game once, and I had Rule of Law out,
Yeah.
and they finally got rid of Rule of Law, and they're like, sweet. And I'm like, Eidolon of Rhetoric, which does the same thing.
That's so freaking frustrating.
Yeah, this deck, it's submission hold. It will make you tap out.
Yeah, it's so dumb.
Yeah.
You can't freaking play anything because then Elshnorn comes into play and just kills all your creatures.
Oh, you were playing elves against Elshnorn once.
Yes. Yes, I was.
And playing elves against Elshnorn is bad.
Is
'Cause,
stupid.
like, okay, well, my board's dead.
Yeah, because every elf comes into play as a 1/1, and so before you can even pump it, it's dead.
Yep. It enters as a -1/-1.
And it just makes me cry.
Yeah, it's I'll post some deck lists.
Yeah, do it. If you don't know, both Phil and I are on Tapped Out. If you don't use Tapped Out, you should. It's a wonderful resource.
Yeah, it's great.
We'll post our Tapped Out stuff in the description. I'm pointing down, which you can't actually see, so that's awkward, sorry. But yeah, we'll post them in the descriptions. You can follow us, you can look at our decks. I think I only have like 1 deck on there, and that was my standard deck from last year.
I have a ton. I have some commander decks that I have yet to buy.
Yeah.
I have one that I'm building for you as a gift, which is Infect.
I love Infect, if you don't know. It's one of those things that everyone universally hates it, so obviously I love it and want to play it.
See, Infect in Commander is just mean.
Because it's still only 10 poison counters to win, even though in Commander you get 40 life.
Yep. So this deck is just like, oh, I'm gonna beat you to death.
Oh, and you're dead, and you're dead, and you're dead. Wow, that was 3 turns.
We also have a Group Hug deck, 5-color Group Hug for a friend of mine.
Always fun.
Group Hug is... we also have a blue-white artifact deck for another friend of ours.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
That is on there. It's pretty neat.
Yeah.
And then we have, for me, a 5-color Chaos deck.
Which is not going to be fun.
Yeah, which just messes stuff up.
And then I personally built green-black insect deck.
Woo!
Yeah, my commander is Volraz the Scarstripped, which gives everything in my graveyard scavenge, which is super in flavor for insects because they're just feeding on the corpses and getting stronger and bigger, and it makes me happy because everything is in flavor. The whole deck.
It's so flavorful you could lick it.
Slimy yet satisfying.
It would taste like insects, so don't.
Yeah, probably not, unless you're like into that kind of thing, in which, I mean, we're not gonna judge, but like...
You should cover your deck in dirt before play.
Be like, I dig up 1 card.
It's like, I destroy that creature? No, you bury it.
Yeah, Jesus. Notable cards in my insect deck: Ant Queen, Hornet Queen, Hornet's Nest, Living Hive, Gaish Liege or something like that. I don't remember off the top of my head. It's not actually an insect, it's a horror, but it gives all black creatures +1/+1, all green creatures +1/+1, and every turn generates a 1/1 green-black worm, which comes into play as a 3/3. Which is awesome.
God.
It's ridiculously good. If you're wondering, it was reprinted as a rare in Modern Masters 2015.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, I want to talk about my standard deck because I just finished it, mostly.
Yes.
I finished as much as it's going to be finished for now.
Real quick, I'm gonna just really quickly name the good cards in my Chaos so we can go into this EDH discussion.
Yes.
So yeah, Nick's gonna run through his good stuff, but my Chaos deck is brand new and I'm pretty proud of it. So its commander is Corona False God, which is a 5/5 haste for 6. At the beginning of each player's upkeep, that player untaps Corona and gains control of it. Whenever it attacks, creatures of your choice get +3/+3 until end of turn.
Just creatures of your choice.
Creature types.
Oh, creature types.
It has confusion in the ranks, which basically whenever you play a permanent, you have to switch it with a permanent that someone else controls. You have to exchange control.
Yeah.
It's got Dovescape, which turns all non-creature spells into 1/1 Dove tokens. Endless Whispers, which whenever a creature dies, it enters the battlefield under the control of target opponent.
Cool.
Eye of the Storm, which is, whenever a player plays an instant or sorcery, that player copies each instant or sorcery. You exile it. Then that player copies each instant or sorcery that is copied by Eye of the Storm and plays those without paying its mana cost.
Is it only one or is it all of them?
All of them.
Oh dear God.
Force Fruition, which whenever a player plays a spell, that player draws 7 cards.
Okay.
Grand Melee makes it so all creatures have to attack and block each turn. Hive Mind makes it so whenever a player casts a spell, each other player has to copy that spell. Bale Nexus gives every card Cascade. It got Island Decree in it.
Woo!
Possibility Storm, which whenever you play a spell, you exile it and then instead look for a spell of the same spell type and play that instead. Yeah, it's also got things like Illicit Auction, which each player, you choose a creature, and each player may bid life for that creature, and the player that gets the most loses that much life and gains that creature. Also, Thieves' Auction, which you exile all cards in play, and in starting with you, each player chooses one, and it goes around the table.
Huh.
And then the last couple here, Scrambleverse, randomly reassigns all permanents, non-land permanents. Warp World, which, if I recall correctly, just each player shuffles his or her all permanents into his or her library, then reveals that many cards from the top of his or her library, and puts them onto the battlefield if they're permanents.
Yep.
Ice Caves, which make it so whenever a player plays a spell, any player may pay that spell's mana to counter it. So you play its CMC and you counter any spell it's played. And then there's a very notable thing going on here, which is a lot of these spells say target.
Yeah.
There's a card in this deck called Grip of Chaos. Whenever a spell or ability is put on the stack, reselect its target at random.
Yep.
So that means with Endless Whispers, anytime anything dies, it comes back to a random opponent. If you play a Lightning Bolt, it's randomly selected between all eligible targets.
Yep.
Oh, and then, so we have a ban list thing going on, where we don't acknowledge the ban list.
For Commander.
Yeah, for Commander. So if we're just playing around our table, like if we're playing at events and stuff, I take out my banned cards.
Yeah.
But if we're playing with each other or like recording it for the camera,
Mm-hmm.
I put them in. And there are 2 cards in this deck that are banned in Commander. And those cards are Panoptic Mirror, which lets you copy a spell, and then play it every turn. And then Shahrazad,
Yep.
which starts a sub-game.
of Magic, in which the winner of that subgame continues on, and the loser loses half of their life, rounded down.
All losers, actually. So in a pot of Commander, you what you do is you take your current library, you leave the board state as is, and you play with just those cards.
Yeah. The best thing about this is, if you play Shahrazad every turn that is possible for it to be played, you're just going to continuously play sub-games of Magic because it's rounded down, therefore nobody can actually lose the game.
It makes it so the games go like 7 hours.
Yeah.
Because I put those 2 cards in there for Island Sanctuary and Mystic Decree.
Yeah.
And just like, oh, okay, Panoptic Mirror. I'm saving it for Shahrazad.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, that is my ridiculous Chaos deck, which we're going to play and record later.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun.
So yeah, basically do the same thing with your Sander deck.
Yeah. Okay. So I already talked about my Thopter my Thopter standard deck. All of that is Magic Origins, so I can keep that around for a little while. This is mostly Battle for Zendikar and Oath of the Gatewatch. It's black-white life gain allies. So I have allied reinforcements in here, which is mostly a placeholder for a second Drana. 2 Dazzling Reflections, 2 Cliffside Lookouts, 3 Bloodbond Vampires, which are actually pretty, pillars of my deck. They have the ability... They're a 3/3 for 2 generic and 2 black. And whenever you gain life, put a +1/+1 counter on Bloodbond Vampire. Then I have 3 Vampire Envoys, which whenever they become tapped, I gain a life. 2 Kalastra's Healers. Whenever they or another ally enter the battlefield, I drain my opponent for 1. 2 Malakir Familiars, and whenever I gain life, it gets +1/+1. It's also flying and death touch. Nirkana Assassin, whenever I gain life, he gains death touch until end of turn. 3 Drana's Assassins, and at the beginning of my upkeep, each opponent loses 1 life, and I gain 1 life, and they're a 2/2 with flying. 3 Undo War Clerics, which are a 2/2 for 2 with Cohort, which I tap this and another ally to gain 2 life. 3 Immolating Glares, destroy a target attacking creature. One of them, notably, is a F&M promo. 3 Stonehaven Mystics, which I tap 1 white and them for 1 life. 2 Clawster Night Watches. Whenever I gain life, they gain flying. 2 Unnatural Endurances, because, you always need combat tricks. 2 Alea Eternal Pilgrims, which are notably a legendary creature. They are a 2/3 for 1 white and 1 black with Death Touch. They have the ability, 1 generic, sack a creature, I gain life equal to that sacrificed creature's toughness. Or, tap 1 generic, 1 white, and 1 black, sack another creature, exile target non-land permanent. Activate this only if you have 10 more life than your starting life. So it's pretty much just like, oh, yeah, cool card. Nope. And then I have Drana, Liberator of Malakir, which is a 2/3 for 1 generic and 2 black, with flying and first strike, and whenever Drana, Liberator of Malakir does combat damage to a player, put a 1/1 counter on each attacking creature you control. Now here's the thing about Drana. It has first strike, so it does damage before anything else does damage. So if you hit with Drana, a player, and you have other creatures that are blocked, the +1/+1 counter goes on the stack before those blocking damage, so they actually get that +1/+1 counter before they're blocked. Just so you know. Mortuary Mire, which I might add another one of. They enter the battlefield tapped. When it enters the battlefield, I put a target creature card from my library from my graveyard into my library, and I can tap it for black mana. 2 Caves of
Coelos,
which I can tap for 1 generic or tap and pay 1 life for a white or a black. And then 2 Evolving Wilds. And
land.
I run the Magic Origins lands because I think they're the prettiest.
outside of Full Art Zendikar.
This is true. There's also like specific origin lands that I like, notably the Swamps by Dan Frazier. Collector's number 262 are my favorite.
Yeah, editor, get on that.
Yeah, jeez.
Yeah, editor, show the images.
Show
The joke here is that I'm the editor.
So yeah, that's my standard deck. I actually haven't playtested it because we're recording this on Thursday, and I go to F&M on Friday, as one does.
I go to F&M on Monday.
Yeah.
No one else is there.
So next week I will actually be playing Standard instead of Draft. Or I guess tomorrow I'll be playing Standard instead of Draft as a test for this new deck. If you're unfamiliar with F&M, pretty much everything is Swiss, which means that you play every game no matter...
Cards are really hard to read.
What?
The cards are really hard to read.
Because everything's in a different language. So Standard is 4 rounds of Swiss, with, I think, rewards if you win more than 2 of your matches, like 2 or more.
It depends on the shop, honestly.
Yeah, I guess my shop is 2 or more. And then Draft is 3 rounds of Draft, and I think 35 minutes for drafting and deck building. So that's fun. They also do modern F&M. That's always fun. You can always try that if you're a modern player.
Magic rules that came out about 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Were that the shop can set whatever F&M they want.
Yeah.
So it can be, ordinarily it's going to be Standard.
Mm-hmm.
But like if there are play groups, and I think there are some over the nation,
yeah,
they're like, hey, this week let's do modern F&M, or let's do you can do any game type you want at F&M now after the new rules come down from Wizards.
Yeah.
So it's like, let's do Legacy, let's do Vintage, let's do Commander.
But usually people will they'll have like a set schedule.
Yeah.
Oh, I know you wanted to talk about Colorless Land.
Oh yeah. So that's a thing now.
Yeah, it's a thing, and it's kind of been a thing for a while since BFZ came out. We haven't talked about it yet, so we wanted to bring that up.
So colorless is not a color,
It is not a color,
as the name implies.
as colorless implies.
But it may as well be. Because it plays just like it.
It plays just like it, but it's strange because things that say like you may search your library for basic land, you can search for waste. But if it's add any color of mana, you cannot add colorless.
Yeah. And people are wondering, well, like, okay, don't all lands tap for colorless? No.
No, all lands tap for generic.
Generic.
Which
is very important to note.
Yeah. If, as I've been saying whenever I read packs, usually I try and say, like, one generic and, like, one color, just to kind of, like, reinforce it in my own mind. Hopefully, like, it helps you too. But the generic is 1 mana of any color. Does not matter. And then it'll always have that mana symbol next to it where it says, like, the color of mana. And if it's colorless, you actually have to have that colorless source.
Yeah.
So
that's pretty game-changing.
It's actually really cool. A lot of stuff in the past has been oracled. Like, if it says on the card, taps for 1 generic mana, it actually has been oracled to say 1 colorless mana.
Mm-hmm.
So even lands, like, back, we were looking at Arabian Nights last week, even things in Arabian Nights have been oracled to say colorless.
Yeah.
So make sure, if you're running Modern, to check your lands, see if they've been oracled before you try and use them, because sometimes people will call a judge on you and be like, I don't know, like, if this actually, like, gives colorless or if it gives generic, because the cards haven't obviously changed, but, like, its actual effect may have.
Yeah, so, I mean, being that I'm going through judge training right now, like, studying to become a judge for Magic,
Yeah.
I think I may just do a video on our channel on what this means.
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool.
So look forward to that. Also, some more Magic news.
Yes.
Prophet of Kruphix is banned in Commander.
Yeah, wah.
So
I mean, I actually don't feel that bad about it because that card is stupid.
I run it in my Surak the Dragonclaw Teamer deck.
Yeah.
So I need to find a replacement for, like, Grand Prix games that I play, or, like, in-store games.
Yeah.
So the thing about the Commander ban list is it's not set in stone.
Yeah, this is true.
So you mutually decide with your playgroup what should be banned.
Yeah.
You can say we'll stick by this. We'll make our own ban list of things that we don't want played against us. You also can choose what could be a commander, such as a planeswalker,
Yeah.
or the 4-color legendaries from, I forget the cycle.
Crap, I just forgot to.
Yeah, because there are no 4-color commanders.
Yeah.
So some people use those. So basically you set your house rules, but make sure everyone in the pod is aware that you're going against the standard rules.
Yeah.
Like, a rule we always follow is, we follow the old bounce rules.
Yeah.
So if your commander would be sent back to your hand or library...
Or exiled.
No, exiled still counts.
Really?
Yeah, exiled is still back to your command zone. It's always been that.
Oh, yeah. No, I thought you were talking about if it gets sent back to your hand or deck, it goes into the command zone.
Yeah, so ordinarily, the new rules that have been in effect for about a year are if it's killed, exiled, sent back to your hand, or sent back to the command, or sent back to your deck, it goes back to the command zone.
Yeah.
But the old rules were killed or exiled goes back to the command zone.
Yeah.
Sent back to your hand or deck, it goes there.
Yeah, that's what we've played with.
Yeah, we still play with those rules because I just think they're more fair.
Yeah, they're more fair. Plus, it's kind of nice knowing that, like, if you draw something, like, you don't actually have to, like, pay 2 generic more for its mana cost, which is always nice.
There are decks where sometimes it's better for your commander to go back to your graveyard.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly.
No, yeah. I mean, sometimes I've had things where I'm like, I kind of wish I could just kill this, because then it could come back better.
Yeah.
But, you know, like with the mono black deck, sometimes I just want to be like, can I just go around that rule and say it just dies?
Yeah, you can, actually.
I mean...
So yeah, we ordinarily playing my deck, Prophet of Kruphix is just gonna stay right where she is.
Yeah, but like when you play with people like that you are not in your general pod, like it's nice to follow those rules because I assume that they are as well.
Like, we are going to GP Port.
Yeah.
And we are going to be playing, probably not in the main on day 2.
Yeah, probably not, but you know, who knows?
Certainly not all of us.
Definitely not all of us. Yeah.
So we'll generally we'll be playing Commander a lot, or drafting.
Yeah.
And, you know, for that I'm going to take Charizard and
Panoptic
Mirror out of my Chaos deck. I'm probably not going to play my Chaos deck because that's kind of rude with strangers.
Yeah.
And I'm going to take Kruphix out of my Surak deck.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So part of Kruphix, for those of you that don't know, is a 2/3 for 3 green-blue. And she says, untap all creatures and lands.
A 2/3 for 5. How lame.
Yeah. Untap all creatures and lands you control during each other player's untap step.
Okay.
Oh, also all your creatures have flash.
Yeah.
So I'm
Yeah.
I'm replacing her for a Seedborn Muse, ordinarily.
Yeah.
Which is fine. But yeah, that has been banned, so be aware of that, by the way.
Yeah, just FYI.
You don't want to look at the ban list when you're building a deck, by the way. That's one really good thing on using Tapped Out. It'll let you know if any cards aren't legal in what you're playing.
Yeah, it's very nice.
Can make for some embarrassing times if you don't know.
This is true. Oh, sweet. Half of my lands in my commander deck are either foil, Japanese, or full arts. Because I poured looked through my collection for all my kind of cool lands. I'm just like, yep, those are going in.
I have a German Plains for some reason.
I have a Japanese swamp and a Japanese island that's foil.
I got our local card store has
Yeah.
these $1 grab bags.
TCG.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they have some weird cards in there sometimes.
They're always really cool, though.
Yeah. I've gotten some Japanese cards.
I actually really like the $1 grab bags. I wish my store down here did them.
The $2 ones are also neat. The $2 are more cards, guarantee you a rare and a foil,
Yeah.
and there's like a 2% chance that you could get a piece of paper inside them
Yeah.
that you can redeem for a really expensive card.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've gone in and spent like $10 to get 5 of them before.
No, yeah, it's a super good deal.
Yeah.
Like I'm honestly, when I come back for spring break, I'm probably gonna go in and get a bunch of them.
We should. Oh, we've actually drafted the dollar grab bags before.
Yeah, it's actually a lot of fun.
Yeah. Like, just go into a store. If your store has dollar grab bag deals, or like some Dollar Trees do,
Yeah.
just be like, pick up 3 of them for your people and then draft.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. Do we have anything else?
I think that's about it for this second episode of our revamped, new, and improved edition. We're coming up in about an hour here.
Yeah, yeah.
So, we're gonna go, because it's almost 3 in the morning.
This is true.
Be sure to check out our Patreon, our website, our Twitter, our MySpace, our Facebook,
Yeah.
our Orkut,
Our Orkut.
our, I don't know, our Steam.
Our Steam. I have a Steam. We're gonna be making. Check out our Twitch. I guess we'll probably figure out something with that. Check out. What's the OkCupid account?
Oh, Thraxodemon?
Yeah, Thraxodemon. Check out Thraxodemon's OkCupid account because he's lonely. He's looking for hot singles in his area,
And not the magic kind.
and not magic singles.
So yeah, be sure to check us out. If you would go send us money and presents on Patreon, we'd appreciate that.
Always a wonderful thing for you to do.
And we will catch you next time.
See you later.